multi-use path for both pedestrians and bicyclists that would go all the way from out at Minuteman through Somerville, coming through here down to the harbor, and those pieces are falling into place. So the second area is really goes from Lechmere Canal Park on the right with those arrows pointing off towards North Point, looking for those connections, all the way down to the Broad Canal, which is a canal that's just now coming into people's thinking as we put a new walkway in there.
And we see the Longfellow Bridge just at the edge there.
Yes, Longfellow Bridge is just off the edge. So Lechmere Canal Park is a good model for the kinds of things the city has been trying to do over the last decades. That was a beautiful park carved out of what had been industrial use. There's just below Lechmere Canal Park is another asterisk, which is a part of the entryway into Lechmere Canal Park that's pretty but could have more activity, more enabling people to do more of the kind of things Stuart was talking about, where they could linger more and enjoy the space. Going further to the west, or on the left in this map, you see Front Park, which has an asterisk on it. Again, a park we created back in the 80s, but one that by now needs some improvements. And there are two solid green asterisks that are new parks that are going to be created near the water. So going to the next image, you see that park in the upper image is the one I was talking about. It's nice to have the trees there, but it's kind of a little too quiet, and we'd like to find some ways to activate that. On the lower right is the DCR Boathouse, which they're very concerned about as an historic structure, and we are trying to work with them to see what kind of uses could go in there and make that an active use. And by the way, that's right by the Museum of Science Bridge, so ideally that would be improved as a historic structure tied into a walkway. And then on the lower left you see the Broad Canal Walk, which is the westernmost part of this section, and just this last year there's been a wonderful new boating facility put into that canal, so you can go out into the Charles. There's a walkway down that way.
Yeah.
And you can go down there and rent kayaks and canoes right now at this point.
There are, and there's now also a kind of a rejuvenated Kendall Square Association, which is working
Absolutely.
not only on the square but also on the waterfront. So there is yet another partner that will help to make that front lively. Now we're moving further upriver now. Do you want to explain this blue area that is?
The blue area is a convention we've used on some of these maps for showing areas that are very confusing to pedestrians, and this one has the ramps that go out in the river, and if you're trying to get to Boston or Cambridge, you're going out into this confusing mess. And it's bad enough in a car, but if you're a pedestrian, it's very difficult in that area. And we don't have a solution for that at this point, but we'd love to see something happen there. And there again is the Broad Canal on the right with that long red arrow that shows it connecting up towards Kendall Square in the East Cambridge neighborhood. Very excited about that recent improvement. So if we go to the next image, the plan shows a long arrow along this MIT campus on the bottom of the image with the Charles River on the bottom, and Massachusetts Avenue going through sort of the middle of the slide. The long red arrow shows where the Grand Junction rail line is, and we're very hopeful about seeing a mixed-use pathway, multi-use pathway for pedestrians and bicyclists there. There's another red arrow, which is potential crossing of the tracks, again bringing the Cambridgeport neighborhood down through the MIT campus to the river. That's something that's an idea right now.
Mm-hmm. And very part of this plan is to make the riverfront more active and better used, but it's also to link
Absolutely.
the neighborhoods with the river. In some places it's really hard to even come to the river, and there has been some fatal accidents in front of MIT, so that has already been improved with some crossings, and I think the more that access can be softened, I think the better.
Yes, well, I think that's where we started out, was thinking about how wonderful the river is, but how it's often hard to get down there. So that we're trying to put together lots of links into a whole sort of coordinated system. So Renata, if we go back to the map there, you can see that, again, that long red arrow along the Grand Junction continues down to the towards the BU Bridge, and can again bring people from even as far off as Somerville down through here, down to the river,
Yeah.
so we're really eager to see that work out. And in the next image, we see the Grand Junction on the lower left, kind of looking up towards Kendall Square in East Cambridge at the river behind us. So you can see that pathway could be a big boon to getting people up and down. In the upper slide, DCR has, over the last few years, widened some of the space along the Charles River, which was really an excellent thing to happen.
And they have widened the Parkland, which is an amazing thing. That's a rare occurrence and a wonderful occurrence.
And as
yes.
I'm sure you know, they have a couple $1 million right now, and they're starting to renovate some of the historic railings, and it's another phase that apparently has funding for the next fiscal year to bring in more benches and trees, so very excited about that.
Yeah.
So just sort of closing up this eastern set of sections, we're back to that aerial photo in the lower right that I started off with, and you can see how there are just so many potentials there, and it kind of leads on around towards the areas that Stuart will be talking about towards the west.
And
Yep, I think you're coming to the magazine
Right.
beach area, which in a way is already a wonderful partnership between the City of Cambridge and DCR.
Absolutely.
And I think what you're looking at is really all land that belongs to DCR, and I think partnering with DCR is really a model that has a lot of promise, because it is the land of Cambridge and the beneficiaries are the people of Cambridge. So,
and we're trying to find those partnerships also with other private owners so that there can be all kinds of interactions among the state, the city, and the private
Yeah,
users. So
yeah.
I think this is something that's going to take years and years, so we're excited to get it out in a coherent way now.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry,
so what we see here in Magazine Beach is actually following on what Roger was saying about the benefits of getting something like the Grand Junction to function as a pathway. Magazine Beach is not only one of the deepest open space assets along the river for Cambridge, where you're further away from the highway from Memorial Drive, but also it actually has playing fields. So the access for residents of East Cambridge and Wellington-Harrington neighborhoods could actually be a very pleasant short bike ride that your family could make down to Magazine Beach to play baseball or football or soccer if you had something like that as part of it. So that is what you said about the city improving Magazine Beach is opening up this spring, the phase 1 of the Magazine Beach improvements, which are the playing fields. Phase 2 of those improvements we hope to see funded at some point, and those would include things like benches, picnic tables, the tot lot, also in Magazine Beach. Here we see in the middle and bottom of this slide one of the first icons that we've used, which is showing a point of outlook. It looks like a little bit of a ball field triangle in gold, and that means that it's a nice place to look out along the river and look across to Boston or down the river or up the river. And this is a place at Magazine Beach, which is a very pretty spot right now. It's just a little bit, as many places is, under the weather in terms of repair, but a place that could really be a terrific spot and a special place. It's Magazine Beach has the pool, and also has enough open space where you see the green asterisk that it could actually be a very splendid place to come with family and friends and picnic or just for informal activity. On the middle upper portion, the purple asterisk is an item which we've talked about a little bit further afield, which is the development possibility along the river. And there are not many of them. Most of the area is owned by Harvard and MIT, but the few places that are owned by the public or by private entities, we want to keep in mind as if you see redevelopment of these areas, there could be better outcomes that are there now. And this is the area where Micro Center is and Trader Joe's. And it's something that's more of a suburban type of development. It actually has a city road, Riverside Road, that is part of the parking lot. And we'd like to see that feel more city-like and do more things that were addressed the river and made it something that participated with the river and activities along the river.
Yeah.
And moving along from there, from the BU Bridge, we go down and there's a sequence from Western River Street to Western Ave in Cambridge. And there's 3 parks that mark this area. There's the Riverside Park that's there now. There's the new park at the old Mahoney site that's going to be opening up any day now. That was part of a cooperative effort with Harvard University. And then further down the river is Corporal Burns Park. This area, the purple asterisk on the right, is an area that we see still too often on the river, which is old gasoline